Welcome to the second episode of Hype Girl Energy. My guest today is Courtney Thomas, CEO of Newhouse. Courtney, tell me, how did you get involved with Newhouse?
So domestic violence is personal for me because I'm a childhood survivor of domestic violence. So growing up in that environment and knowing firsthand what survivors and children are going through as they escape those situations speaks to me. And when I was in the animal welfare industry, where I spent about 20 years of my career, we realized that many people weren't leaving their abusers because they had no safe place for their pets to go. 72% of people, in fact, say they would leave their abuser sooner if they had a place for their pet that was safe. So we started some programs when I was in the animal welfare industry, and then I had the opportunity to get connected at Newhouse when I was at Central Exchange, and they were doing a year-long leadership development class that one of the employees at Newhouse participated in. So I got connected to the mission, was asked to serve on the board, asked to chair the gala, and then when the opportunity for leadership came about, it was a great connection of my passion and my purpose and opportunity to really create change into the future.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
And when you talk about your passion, where does your passion lie?
Oh, wow. My passion lies really in being able to help people become the best possible versions of themselves. And so I think that happens in a variety of ways. So certainly in the work that we're doing here, just helping a person see their potential, because all too often we hear the noise of the world or society or the voice, our own voice in our own head telling us what we can't do. And it's in my DNA to show people what is possible. That's just the person I am. You tell me 14 ways we can't do it, and I'm going to tell you the 27 ways we can do it. And that's just how I'm built.
Okay, and you've served in different leadership capacities throughout the Kansas City area. Tell me, how do you keep moving forward as a leader and growing as a leader?
I came to Kansas City in 2002, and I feel like I have unintentionally earned this title of business turnaround expert. So having the opportunity to step into 4 different organizations that were at a pivotal point, really, a fork in the road, where they were either going to take off and thrive, or maybe they needed to consider winding down their programs or projects because financial resources, operational resources weren't available. And I think what I have learned, and I think is a lesson for anybody, is the importance of asking for what you need. Help identify for the community where opportunity exists, because so many people want to be a part of it, whether that's staff, volunteers, donors, lawmakers, policymakers. If they have an awareness to what the need is, why it's important, and the impact that solving that problem can have, people want to be a part of that. And so I think it's about elevating the message, learning how to amplify your voice to activate the vision.
As the CEO of Newhouse, what do you feel like is your role day in, day out for the people you're serving here, for your staff? As a leader, what do you feel like you need to do every day for them?
Set the team up for success. So I oftentimes will refer to myself, and my most important hat that I wear is being the loudest cheerleader for our team and for the survivors that we serve. And I know that sounds simplistic and really basic, but when we can find out what people's gifts are and how we can best leverage those gifts to advance the mission, people become more satisfied in their roles, which causes them to give at a whole different level, right? In an authentic and super passionate, purpose-driven way, versus it just being a job that brings home a paycheck and allows them to meet some of their outside goals. It's kind of this positive collision of their own purpose and their own dreams, helping the organization and others fulfill theirs.
Talk to me about Newhouse itself. Obviously, I'm familiar with the organization, but for those who aren't, what exactly is it? What does Newhouse do?
Newhouse is creating generational change for people who have experienced domestic violence. We are Kansas City's first and oldest domestic violence shelter, so just celebrated our 54th anniversary in January. We are a 92-bed emergency shelter for people where home is not a safe place. So if you're finding yourself in a situation where you're experiencing physical abuse, emotional, financial, sexual abuse, we are a place for you to turn. We have a full team of therapists on staff, adult and children's therapists, a recovery counselor, recreational therapist, case managers that will help you in finding a job, getting medical care, housing, achieving those goals that you have for yourself. And we have a full legal team as well. So we know that so many of the people that we serve are experiencing really complex legal matters, and it's an intimidating process to navigate alone. So we have a full-time attorney, paralegal, 2 court advocates that will literally stand side by side with the survivor in the courtroom and help them as they face their abuser to get an order of protection. And then we have an early learning center, a full-time early learning center for children birth through age 5, which is a really magical place at Newhouse, where we have the opportunity to create significant influence in the lives of kids at their most imprintable stages. And we also have programs for school-aged children as well. So it's a really full circle approach. Our goal is to not just serve people while they're here at Newhouse, but really be a continuum of care for them as they kind of graduate into the next phase of their own life.
You mentioned that Newhouse has 92 beds. How often are all 92 of those filled, and what's the demand like for Newhouse?
The beds, or the rooms, I should say, are always full. So each room has 4 beds in it. So depending on the makeup of the family unit, so we may have a single person in a room, or we may have a family of 5 in a room. But what I can share is that the rooms are always full. It's a one out, one in kind of scenario, and it is because domestic violence is so prevalent. So we know that 1 in 3 women will experience some form of domestic violence in their lifetime, and it affects men as well. People think it's a gender-specific issue, but we know 1 in 4 men will experience some form of domestic violence in their lifetime. And a couple of other statistics that make the work that we do so critical. We like to say that domestic violence is a community health crisis. It's something that requires all of us working together to solve. But Missouri ranks in the top 10 deadliest states for women to be killed by their abusers. And Kansas City rates 2nd in the state for the number of domestic calls that are being responded to. So it's an epidemic. It is at a crisis level. Our city is experiencing violence at record rates, and it's a generational thing, and we have to step in and break down the barriers that feed the cycle of abuse, which is the approach that Newhouse takes. We aren't just about providing the services that I described, but really getting to the root of the problem. What are the challenges, the systemic barriers that are impacting people and leaving them stuck in poverty, leaving people stuck in situations where they don't have access to equitable medical care, leaving people stuck in the inability to receive a quality education or the resources to do that? What are those systemic issues that are feeding the cycle of abuse?
And how do you break down those barriers? I mean, if Kansas City is ranking so high on all these stats, unfortunately, but like, how do you even go about starting that process?
Education and having an opportunity to have a conversation just like this one, so that we can inform people that the problem exists, that we can get lawmakers and policymakers behind change, taking violence even more seriously in our community, holding offenders accountable for their actions, sending the message that this isn't something we're going to tolerate in our community, and investing the resources necessary to take care of the people who are experiencing it. Kansas City is very unique in that we have a number of agencies that support survivors, but the fact that we need to exist is really what people need to focus on.
For sure. And what do you feel like is, like, from a needs standpoint, what does Newhouse need from a day-to-day standpoint, whether it's finances or what can best be used to help support both your team and then also the survivors that are having to come in the door?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, in the nonprofit sector, the number one answer is always money. And I know that's not always the answer that people want to hear, but having more unrestricted dollars that allow us to do things like provide transportation for our residents. When we have a survivor who calls that lives 40 miles away from us, has no vehicle, we have to figure out transportation for them. Sounds simple, but it's huge. Being able to pay for security deposits that get people into housing. Oftentimes that's the barrier between them being here and them being out on their own. One of the areas that we need to continue to grow our support is in our therapeutic, case management, and legal space. The demand for our services is far greater than our staff census, and so we need to add positions that allow us to serve people even on an outreach basis. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of at Newhouse is you don't have to live here. You don't have to be a resident at Newhouse to receive our services. It's all free for anybody who is a survivor, but it's all capacity based. So our team does a phenomenal job, but they can only take on so many clients at any given time. So more space. We want to do an expansion here to add more beds. We want to create more of a campus model that brings in the services that do address the barriers that feed the cycle of abuse through partner agencies. We don't want to duplicate what someone else is doing really, really well, but we want to eliminate the challenges that are in the referral process. We want to consolidate services so survivors have one place to go versus being asked to go to a number of places throughout the city when we know transportation is one of the leading challenges.
That kind of segued into what my next question was going to be is, do you partner with any outside organizations for the services that you provide?
We have many partners in the community that have expertise outside of our domain. So we are centered around the things required for healing from a therapeutic perspective, case management, legal standpoint. We lean on community partners for medical care, for advanced mental health services, for housing, job readiness training, those sorts of things. And we have a big vision for the future of creating this campus, which invites partners to have a presence and also creates more of an entrepreneurial opportunity for the clients that we serve. So we want them to come in to Newhouse and immediately be able to earn a livable wage, to advance some of the skills that they have, oftentimes skills they don't even know they possess, to ensure that they can remain stable and sustainable on their own and not have the fear of thinking that returning to their abuser is their only option.
How long are your survivors staying at Newhouse?
One of the great benefits that we have at Newhouse is no time limit for care. Amazing. So we are not your forever home, but we also know that people who've experienced complex trauma can't possibly be ready. Most, I should say, are not ready to be out on their own and self-sufficient in 90 to 120 days. So operating in that mindset, when they come in, they're immediately thinking, oh, the time clock has started, I've got 90 to 120 days. Their cortisol levels are still so high that they can't absorb any of the therapeutic resources that we are providing. So we want to eliminate that worry and have people focus on their goals and working with our team to achieve their goals. And then they can graduate into temporary housing, permanent housing, and we will continue to be a resource to champion them going forward.
Okay, going back to the expansion, I wanted to know what, do you envision for Newhouse? What does that expansion look like? Are there plans in the making? Tell me a little bit about that.
There are plans in the making. So we identified the need for more beds and just how many people we were turning away. So the Kansas City area serves about 8,400 survivors a year. But sadly, the statistic that we need to pay most attention to are the close to 22,000 requests for help that go unmet every year due to a lack of bed space and resources. So we identified a couple years ago the need for the bed expansion. We were fortunate to raise money to do that, and it was right in the time where construction costs just skyrocketed. So what we thought it was going to cost, it ended up being about $1.5 million more, which for us is not a rounding error. So it actually has been a blessing in disguise because we have been able to kind of back up for a moment and look at this bigger plan, which is to create this campus model where we have transitional housing, we have a youth empowerment center, we have a life skills center, we have a medical partner on premise, we have a kind of a restaurant and a healthy food market that addresses food insecurity in this neighborhood. And it's really about revitalizing this area as much as it is about supporting and investing in survivors. When we do that, when we can invest in both, the likelihood of success in the future and the opportunities that are created for survivors exponentially grows.
Talking about the expansion, obviously that's a lot of money to be able to do what Newhouse wants to do there. Tell me a little bit about what you guys do from a fundraising standpoint and how you get money in the door to help your survivors.
Absolutely. So we really try to approach it from the perspective of inviting everybody in, right? How can we make our events accessible to all different kinds of people? So we do 3 key events a year. One is the Worthy Pop-Up Bar, which is next to roll out, and we are so grateful to have you as a bartender. It's going to be so fun in March. So we do celebrity bartenders, so influencers in our community. We serve mocktails, cocktails. It becomes a friendly competition between the bartenders to raise awareness to their team, to our mission, and our overall goals as an agency. So it's 2 days of fun. It's $50 for people to come, and there's a VIP pass, so you can get some extra bonus dollars to spend on food or additional drinks if you would like. Tons of fun. Then we do a breakfast in June, which is really a friend raiser and more of an awareness model. It's free to attend. We have table captains that invite people they think may be touched by our mission, and it's an invitation to get involved. So volunteer, become a monthly donor, just become the voice for us in the community. And then the big event of the year is our gala, which is in November. We are so excited. The last 2 years, we have raised over $1 million. Substantial growth. When I started in 2019, actually I was the event chair in 2019, we raised $310,000.
And now you're over $1 million.
And now we're over $1 million. Our team has just done a phenomenal job. I can't say enough about their creativity and innovation. And you know, people say, oh my gosh, you're raising $1 million. You don't need our money. The $1 million is a fifth of our budget.
Wow.
Newhouse operates on the smallest budget of any domestic violence shelter in Jackson County. And yet we have a equal number or near equal number of beds. And so
crazy.
we have, and every shelter does different programs. Yeah. Everyone's doing phenomenal work. We are very proud to be part of the ecosystem here, but I think it is just a misconception, and we have worked really hard to get ourselves to a place that we can create a shelter that is dignified for people. It makes them feel worthy to be here. They understand that they deserve a relationship that is free of things that hurt. You know, love and relationships aren't supposed to hurt you. They are supposed to connect you and make you feel love and happiness and joy. And
what do you think led to such a substantial growth with your gala?
Getting the right people in the room is always pivotal. So we had an opportunity through some of our construction work. We were partnering with A.L. Huber, and Phil and Terry Thomas have truly been the catalyst to spark this amazing growth trajectory. They were our honorary chairs when we grew from the $300,000 mark to over $500,000, and helped us to get the right people in the room. And they have continued to support us. They have continued to bring new people in to support us. So I can't say enough about identifying the right chairs who want to invest by bringing their network forward into the mission. I think it has become an event that people want to be sure they are there. You don't want to miss out, and we've sold out the last 2 years. And it's not just an event that the standard gala, come and eat, have the silent auction. There's so much more to it. You really feel every element of our service. You get to hear directly from survivors. We aren't telling you what we do, they are telling you what we do. And to experience that way is different. You get connected, not only your mind, but your heart gets connected to our work.
You've mentioned the word worthy a bunch. And obviously you've got the pop-up bar. It's used a lot in terminology around the organization. What does the word worthy mean to you?
Worthy means to me realizing and accepting the superpower of who you are, like being comfortable knowing that you are worthy of the things that you deserve in life, and not second guessing that. It is, you are worthy of love. You are worthy of fulfilling your dreams and not settling for anything less than what you want. You are worthy of being whoever and whatever you want to be, and helping people just identify and see the spark and the light that lives inside them. It's already there, and sometimes they just need help to fan and grow the flame, and that's what we're here to do.
I'm going to wrap up with 3 personal questions.
Sure.
So the first being, what do you do in your spare time when you're not helping run this amazing organization?
I am a mom, and I consider that the greatest title of my life. So I have 3 children, all are active in sports. So we spend a lot of time on the baseball field, the softball field, or in the car driving into other communities where they are playing. I also love photography. I have a consulting practice where I have an opportunity to help people thrive all the way around in their life, or organizations. So it's a great way that it's my self-care. I say it's my self-care and my professional development, just allowing me to step out of this is a highly intense environment where we work every day, very rewarding, but very intense, and being able to just step in for a moment and help you, Catherine, see all of your potential, or help you solve a complex problem, and then see you build on that and become all you were meant to be is really fulfilling for me. So I love to do that, and I love horses. Horses are my favorite animal.
Oh my gosh. And what about horses do you love?
Oh, first of all, I don't think there's anything more beautiful. Like, looking into their eyes is just a magical experience. I love riding and just being free. I don't want to ride a certain way. I don't have a special seat, I don't ride a certain Western English. I just love to go and let the horse kind of be in charge. That's my magical space. I also love dogs. I've been in the animal welfare world for a really long time, and so I can't really have a horse inside my house, and I haven't figured out how to add on a barn yet. So we're not quite there, but for now, the children and the dogs do. I love to travel, so really being intentional. I think that's one of the things that I learned in 2021. We say it all the time. We tell people time is precious, but my husband was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive nasal cancer and given 6 months to live, and that was my wake-up call, and I don't want anybody to ever be on the other end of that phone call again. So the ways that I can model that, and I try to do that every day for my staff, that your time away is on purpose, and I want you to take it, and I want you to invest in you and your well-being and your family and your time, because at some point you may not have any more of that.
Is he okay?
He's doing great, yeah. So the success story there is he had 3 surgeries in 3 weeks, 31 radiation treatments, and 2 high-dose chemo treatments, and he is doing well. We just celebrated the 3-year end to his treatment, yeah.
Is there one thing that you wish for Newhouse for this upcoming year? We're obviously at the beginning of 2025, but what's one thing that you wish you could make happen, or,
I wish we never had to tell a person no. And that doesn't mean that we could house everybody, but it's being able to fulfill that. If, coming into shelter is your number 1 priority, if we're full, what's that second most important thing, and how can we help you achieve that? Yeah. Secondary to that, I think it's just continuing to grow awareness and inviting the community to be in and be a part of that. And we think about how many people, here's an easy way to put it in perspective. If there's roughly 2.5 million people in Kansas City, if every person in Kansas City gave $1, you would fund half of our mission for the whole year. So I think sometimes people ask themselves, I don't have much, what can I do? I don't have much time, I don't have much money, I'm not sure where to start. There's a way that everyone can help. So giving that $1, giving $10 would buy bedtime snacks for children. Like, that's super fulfilling. And then yet there's a person who may be able to give $5,000 to support a program. Everybody can do something. From a volunteer standpoint, you can come and serve in shelter. You can, if that's not what's best for you, you can serve at events. You can help us with special projects, but there's something for everyone. You know, thinking about, you go to Target and you see the bed in a bag on sale. Every single person that comes into shelter gets new bedding for their space and their room. It's a big expense for the shelter, but a way that you can help.
Yeah.
So I just want people to realize that in order to have impact and truly break the generational cycle of violence, it's going to take all of us working together hand in hand to say people are worthy of a life free of domestic violence, and together we can make that happen.
Courtney, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all the ways you support our work.
Happy to. It's an amazing organization.
Thank you.